We once thought that should an extraterrestrial intelligence make contact, it would arrive as a greeting, a mathematical pattern, a cipher of prime numbers designed to forge a shared language rooted in universal physics. How naive we were. The cosmos doesn't deliver greetings. It delivers audits. And the quietness we've dreaded for so long has finally shattered with a sound far more chilling than the emptiness of space. Before we plunge into the depths of what has just arrived, I need you to pause whatever you're doing. Head to the comments section immediately and enter your city's name. Tell me, have you observed the sky appearing unusual recently? Peculiar luminosities, satellites traveling in formations that contradict orbital physics. NASA and international observatories are discreetly collecting this information, and we must understand where these occurrences are manifesting. Do this now. I am Michio Kaku, and what I'm going to reveal might transform how you perceive humanity's position in the cosmos. For years, I've discussed the real likelihood of contact. I've developed theories about Type 1, 2, and 3 civilizations, societies with the capability to harness planetary, stellar, and galactic energy. We, existing as a Type 0 civilization, have barely emerged from infancy. We're comparable to ants constructing a mound beside a 10-lane highway, completely oblivious to the vehicles roaring past. We presume the operators of these vehicles would pause to engage with us. But would you halt to greet the ants before paving over their colony? Would you clarify the notion of concrete to an insect? Of course not. You simply proceed. And this precisely describes what's occurring with the object we've labeled 3AAL. When 3I Atlas initially appeared, it received classification as a spatial anomaly. It infiltrated our solar system along a hyperbolic path, traveling with excessive velocity for a comet, demonstrating too much precision for an asteroid. It gained speed without observable propulsion. It modified its trajectory. We understood then, within the hushed, anxious conference rooms of the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, that this wasn't merely a rock. It was a probe, a sentinel. And 3 months back, as numerous of you are aware, it broadcast its initial signal. That opening transmission matched our expectations exactly. It consisted of a high-frequency radiation burst encoding fundamental constants, the proton's mass, pi's ratio, the hydrogen atom's architecture. It represented a handshake, an intelligence assessment. The planet rejoiced. We believed we'd entered the galactic fraternity. But we misinterpreted the assessment's purpose. That wasn't a handshake. It was a calibration pulse. It represented the mechanism verifying whether this planet's biological hardware proved compatible with its scanning protocols. The jubilation proved hasty because 72 hours prior, 3I Atlas dispatched a second transmission. This signal didn't target our radio telescopes. It wasn't transmitted via the hydrogen line. It manifested as a concentrated directed energy pulse aimed not at Earth broadly, but precisely at our worldwide digital systems. It penetrated our ionosphere and engaged with our data infrastructure in ways physicists continue struggling to grasp. And once the cryptographers at the NSA and European Space Agency started analyzing the data, the atmosphere in the chamber transformed from enthusiasm to complete icy dread. The second transmission carried no mathematics. It held no celestial charts. It held data sequences that appeared strikingly, horrifyingly recognizable. It held names. Initially, the scientists suspected a malfunction, a reflection of our radio emissions returning to us. But the error correction algorithms embedded within the alien signal proved far too advanced for that explanation. This was deliberate. The signal encompassed a roster, a vast scrolling encrypted roster of human identifiers. Not merely names in English or Mandarin or Spanish, but biometric signatures, genetic blueprints, digital traces. This represents the aspect that prevents my sleep at night. This discovery compels me to doubt the fundamental nature of reality and consciousness itself. The names within the roster weren't arbitrary. They weren't exclusively world leaders or renowned scientists. They encompassed farmers in remote India, educators in Ohio, software developers in Tokyo, youngsters, the aged. Why? Why would a galactic civilization, an intelligence capable of crossing the light-years separating stars, concern itself with the precise identity of a grocer in London? To comprehend this, we must examine it through physics and information theory's framework. We frequently reference the zoo hypothesis, the notion that aliens observe us like creatures in a wildlife sanctuary. But that suggests passive monitoring. What 3i Atlas executes is active. It's cataloging. Envision yourself as a biologist examining a species approaching extinction, or perhaps a species about to experience a radical, hazardous transformation. What's your course of action? You tag them. You document them. You collect samples. You establish a database of the population prior to the event's occurrence. The incorporation of particular names and biological information indicates that 3i Atlas possesses access to our information systems. It suggests that for years, potentially decades, this probe or similar devices have been silently monitoring our internet, our telephone conversations, our health records. We presumed the Great Silence indicated nobody was listening. But apparently, the galaxy has been monitoring everything. Every text communication, every digital exchange, every upload. We've been supplying a cosmic algorithm whose existence we never suspected. This leads us to the most disturbing hypothesis concerning the second transmission. In theoretical physics, we examine the principle of information conservation. Information, like energy, cannot be eliminated, or so we believe. If a Type 3 civilization has conquered consciousness physics, they might not perceive us as biological entities. They might perceive us as data collections, intricate self-replicating information configurations. If they're transmitting names, it's conceivable they're not merely stating, "I see you." They might be stating, "I possess you." Consider the galactic quarantine concept. We've long theorized that humanity faces quarantine due to our aggressive inclinations. We've divided the atom not to generate boundless energy but to construct weapons capable of sterilizing our own world. We represent a threat to ourselves and potentially to others. When a virus appears in a computer network, the antivirus program scans the files, locates the damaged code, and isolates it. What if the names in the transmission aren't an invitation roster but a registry of the infected? The data segments associated with each name in the signal came with an intricate multidimensional geometric cipher. My string theory colleagues suspect this cipher represents a coordinate framework not in space but across time and probability. 3i Atlas isn't merely examining who we are. It's computing what we'll evolve into. This is where artificial intelligence's power intersects with cosmic evolution. We're approaching the creation of artificial general intelligence, a singularity that will match the human intellect. It's highly probable that 3i Atlas represents an autonomous AI dispatched by a civilization that crossed this threshold millions of years previously. It identifies the characteristics of an emerging planetary intelligence. It observes us awakening, and it's conducting an inventory. But there exists a darker reading, one I'm reluctant to articulate. Yet as a scientist, I must pursue the evidence wherever it directs. In the 3IAL transmission, there existed a particular data subset that cycled repeatedly. It matched the transmission date followed by a countdown, a temporal degradation function. If our calculations prove accurate, the countdown terminates in under 5 years. When you merge a name roster with a countdown, the context transforms. It resembles less a census and more an archive. A doomsday registry. If you realized a library faced imminent destruction, you wouldn't attempt rescuing the bricks or shelving. You'd digitize the books. You'd preserve the information. You'd archive the knowledge. Is 3i Atlas preserving us? There exists a physics concept called Boltzmann brains, the theory that consciousness can emerge spontaneously in emptiness. But a Type 3 civilization needn't await spontaneity. They possess the capacity to upload consciousness. The terrifying, awe-inducing possibility is that the names on that roster are receiving backup. But backed up from what? This is where the scientists, stunned by the discovery, grow silent. Because if we're being archived, it suggests that the physical medium, our Earth, our bodies, is deemed expendable or facing imminent destruction. We observe the night sky and perceive stars. 3i Atlas observes the night sky and perceives entropy, threats, and probabilistic scenarios. It might detect a gamma-ray burst we haven't identified yet. It might detect a wandering black hole. Or it might detect us, our own unavoidable self-annihilation through nuclear conflict or environmental collapse. And it's conserving the sole valuable thing we've generated, our consciousness. The transmission continues actively. The roster grows longer. Each hour, additional data streams from the probe toward the Lyra constellation. And observe, I mentioned Lyra, the identical direction from which the legendary WOW signal emerged decades ago. The components are connecting. The puzzle assembles, and the image it creates depicts a vast interconnected galactic infrastructure that's been observing us evolve from single-celled life to beings capable of atom splitting. We used to question, are we alone? The response is a definitive, resounding no. But the fresh question proves far more pressing, are we secure? I examine the data emerging from NASA and observe fear within the researchers' eyes. They're identifying patterns among the names, connections. The individuals on the roster, they're the ones scoring highest on empathy, creativity, and abstract reasoning assessments. It's not random selection. It's a filtering mechanism. This suggests evaluation. If 3i Atlas represents a filter, then we're undergoing sorting. The signal functions as a reflection. It compels us to examine our civilization and question whether we merit joining the galactic community. Are we a malignancy requiring quarantine or offspring awaiting adoption? The existence of alien technology within our solar system completely alters our future's variables. We're no longer destiny's masters. We're participants in a vast experiment, and the findings are presently transmitting at light speed. I want you to recall the last instance you experienced a sudden, inexplicable sensation of being observed. That awareness feeling that surpasses the five senses. Consciousness represents a quantum phenomenon. It's non-local. It's entirely plausible that 3AL's scanning mechanism is something you can sense. The names, the second transmission, the countdown, everything indicates a singularity event. A juncture where humanity's history diverges. There'll be history before the signal and history afterward. We're currently examining the biometric information to determine if we can decipher the standards. What designates one human a candidate for this roster while another remains excluded? Is it genetic? Is it our decisions? Is it our violence potential versus our peace potential? This represents the ultimate cosmic evolution test. We're being measured on a scale we cannot perceive by judges we've never encountered, based on physics laws we haven't yet uncovered. The transmission from 3i Atlas hasn't ceased. Actually, the signal intensity is amplifying. It's drawing the probe nearer. Maneuvers have been observed. It's no longer simply passing through. It's achieving high orbit. This is our reality. We're not the universe's apex predators. We're the specimens, and the collection operation has commenced. I want to conclude with a thought that torments me. If the roster represents a backup and the countdown proves genuine, what becomes of those of us absent from the roster? What becomes of the physical realm once the digital archive completes? The universe isn't silent. It's screaming. And for the first occasion in history, it's addressing us by name. I'll be tracking the incoming data flows from the Deep Space Network continuously throughout the upcoming weeks as we decipher additional criteria and comprehend the genuine intention of the 3IATS probe. I'll deliver that information to you. But you must stay vigilant, look upward, monitor the skies, and listen. Follow this channel as we persist in decoding the universe's ultimate warnings. We're experiencing this together, and knowledge represents our sole defense against the